Yet again, hi everyone, invite back for another video. Trust you're all doing great, expectation you're all doing fabulous, and that you're all having a totally magnificent day. And with next to no further ado, we should bounce directly into it. I don't need to say it, I just awakened. So you know the arrangement. In any case, any further ado, moving along on parcel of marginally typical news, I was somewhat confounded in light of the fact that the most recent few weeks have been a tad out there and nobody said anything insane. There was nobody who went on a tirade. There was, you realize there was no genuinely questionable issue. So I was somewhat baffled as concerning how things were so typical. We're seeing the re-expanded coming of super confidence inside the space. You can tell some of the time that when I'm certain you can feel it when costs go down or stale, and I utilize weighty quotation fingers there since we can ascend by like 180% in cost throughout the span of an 1 year period. Costs go sideways for a considerable length of time, and everybody totally loses it. Yet we are approaching those time periods, assuming that you were here in February or walk where many individuals after the presentation of the Bitcoin ETFs started to anticipate where they predicted Bitcoin and furthermore thusly Ethereum's cost. We are approaching those time spans rapidly, as I referenced before. It's essentially the finish of June, early July, and furthermore late spring. Those are the 3.5-year time spans after the halving. Regarding where cost will go, Tom Lee is back in the news. He says that Bitcoin is on target to reach $150,000 in 2024. The first course of events cash time was initially $50,000 during the current year, then that became $150,000. Many individuals are accepting the suspicions are still there, as I composed on Twitter. Many individuals accept that we will be 100, 105,000, 110,000 at some point throughout the span of June. A ton of the variables that they give have to do with a U.S. monetary information, world financial information, yet you realize the discussion commonly rotates around the two letters. It has to do with the possibility of expansion not going down and consequently loan fees should drop. It has to do with CPI information. And there another was the other thing, gracious golly, I can't recall, it was some other three-letter thing that essentially demonstrated that the U.S. plan to begin turning on the cash printer again, to have the option to assist with taking care of their obligation, which I accept. I think the loan cost alone was, $700 billion. Was that it? Definitely, no doubt. I think the loan cost alone was, it was $700 billion. Except if I'm feeling the loss of several zeros, the point being is the possibility of the cash printer being betrayed financing costs expecting to bring down in light of the fact that the econom is struggling of the steady firings and cutbacks and this large number of different issues that we're having. It's the winding that we can't escape. The Fed and others all over the planet proceed to attempt to cause it to appear as though this is some kind of mud we can slither out of, yet we've truly entered the final turning point, figuratively speaking, with regards to expansion and how terrible the economy will be. Fundstrat worldwide consultant overseeing accomplice and head of exploration Lee uncovered his most recent bullish Bitcoin cost expectation in a meeting with CNBC recently. Bitcoin has no deficiency of hopeful value focuses on this week, yet a few eyewitnesses are zeroing in on the drawn-out. I feel that is extremely simple to say too. A ton of there's likewise another drawn-out story in this mixed together too. Many individuals I think a ton of times it appears to be more secure for individuals to toss out a drawn-out number when the huge larger part of the market don't exactly, not that they don't mind, yet many individuals are zeroing in on the transient. It's undeniably challenging to see all of this development, to see the entirety of this activity, and to have costs throughout the course of recent weeks before essentially not moving or anything what have you. In the event that you haven't been watching different recordings or haven't exactly seen the action in the background, and the degrees of gathering have been very stunning. We've had news about waiting be more than $100,000. Beginning around 2021 on the grounds that the action on this organization and in this market, and furthermore the new individuals that we've seen getting into it, it's one of these thoughts on the off chance that we hit the past all-time high of 70,000 out of 2021, just dependent on the collection levels and the wide range of various things that we've had, and we've outperformed those numbers by 5x from that point forward, then obviously we ought to be well over 150,000 yet whales are doing what they need to amass cost when at a lower level, yet the calls actually stay for $150,000 Bitcoin is only sort of this. I don't actually have the foggiest idea how to truly express it. I think many individuals aren't truly prepared for those numbers, rich and non-rich, due to what it truly connotes for the until the end of the world. I won't get into that discussion right now since it is very weighty and I just awakened and my cerebrum can't handle a ton of that yet that you comprehend. We've gone over that before. Among the individuals who share these considerations is Tom Lee, who expressed that Fundstrat sees a six-figure Bitcoin PR as the base case during the current year. Certain individuals have gone somewhat extra, and I mean a couple of individuals have noticed a 700,000 Bitcoin at some point 1 year from now, and that then leads us into the Jack Dorsey and the what's his lady's name, what Kathy would, how would I continue neglecting. It's very strange who are discussing the 1 million Bitcoin in like 4 years, or something to that effect. He said, and I quote, "We think Bitcoin is currently toward the start of a bullish cycle to the possibility that it could reach $150,000 this year is still inside our base case." The time span for those of you who I mean between the $100,000 to $150,000 pendulum is between October to December. For reasons unknown, we've gotten a ton of fall great thumbs up sort of thing in December, moving into January as like the we should see where the following leg of the race will take us. Obviously, this has to do with the it's difficult to express, and throughout the span of like a 30-second term, the news that we've been getting each and every day has been very great, very stunning, very astounding, very wonderful. It hasn't exactly. The most awful days that we had were the point at which we were moving sideways, where Bitcoin fell by like 4 and 112%, and everybody got a little skeptical. Available, yet everything is still there. The amassing levels are still very high. How much Bitcoin being removed from trades is still very high. How much amassing, how much Bitcoin going away for later, how much over-the-counter purchasing, how much gathering from the ETFs, and so on. It's all still there. It's all serious areas of strength for extremely only ward on how hopeful others are on the lookout. Yet I can feel the thunderings of like bliss again, like what we had when Bitcoin was going up by like $3,000 each and every day. It's like sort of returning in the market. Additionally, I surmise, standing one next to the other, hopefulness for the Ethereum ETFs keeps on rising. Where Ethereum will go, there's a ton of conversation of by July, August, and I feel that time span is intended to be like the developments that Bitcoin had throughout the span of a 2 to 3 month period. After its ETFs, one experienced, the thought is now that Ethereum is likely, and I mean in the event that it doesn't, then we have an issue in the network. The thought is fundamentally that Ethereum will outperform between 1 to 12,000 at some point around summer this year. Ethereum has less liquidity than Bitcoin does, so it is significantly more straightforward at its cost to go up on the off chance that we begin getting any sort of signs of how much cash is streaming into Ethereum ETFs each and every day. We are without a doubt going to see those numbers. There's as yet a degree of like contraband hopefulness drifting around, or no reason contraband cynicism. That is what it is. It's basically coming from Bitcoin maximalists. I couldn't say whether you've seen the last 2 or 3 weeks. There were many individuals who made a point to discuss Ethereum before the ETFs got supported, and afterward, even subsequently, I saw certain individuals saying, great, they won't have as much cash as Bitcoin streaming, and they won't have this. They're not going to be any interest, and it resembles there. You ought to be content with the way that you are a Bitcoin maximalist, and one can expect that you have a lot of Bitcoin and can presumably purchase an island at or an unassuming community. However, you actually keep on trying to spread cynicism in the news for a coin that you don't possess and a coin that you hence likewise couldn't care less about. So it resembles cool stand to the side. Nobody very tends to think about what you need to say, yet yes, there's hopefulness from individuals who are claiming altcoins. The summed up thought is, listen, I mean, everything being equal on the off chance that we can talk here, if Ethereum toward the finish of summer is at 10 to 12,000 for each coin, altcoins have siphoned and have totally freaked out. Individuals keep on viewing at specific markers for value as to if the other altcoins are likewise going to break past obstruction, and this is where the $4,000, $5,000 Ether is becoming an integral factor, since we are still underneath the past all-time high at those numbers.